Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over how to kill players that are better than you in Fortnite. I see comments all the time on my videos of people saying that they're really struggling dealing with tryhards or sweaty players when they're playing Fortnite. And in the current state of the game, where it feels like everybody treats every single match like the Fortnite World Cup Finals, I can totally understand where people are coming from. Especially if you're a newer player or someone that just doesn't play the game all that frequently, trying to compete even in just a normal public match can be a really intimidating thing to do. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys right off the rip, this should be fairly obvious, but it's going to be a difficult task to consistently win fights against players that are better than you. There's nothing that I or anybody else could tell you in a single video that would make you able to consistently kill really good players, especially if you're just fairly average at the game yourself. But my hope is that this video will kinda guide you guys to winning as many fights as possible against players that are better than you. Even the best players in the world like Tfue, Ninja, and any other pro Fortnite player you could think of has been killed probably hundreds of times by average players. So if hundreds of average players have been able to kill Tfue or Ninja, there's no doubt in my mind that you can kill that super intimidating player in your lobby who looks like he's building at the speed of light. So hopefully you guys were inspired by that little pep talk there, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so in my opinion, the first step to killing really good Fortnite players is to identify them in-game. That makes sense, and it's actually really important because you're basically going to need to switch up your playstyle depending on the skill level of the enemy you're fighting. If you run into a really good player and you treat them like the last guy you just killed who couldn't even shoot straight, you're basically guaranteed a death. And here's the thing, quickly identifying how good a player is in-game can be a fairly difficult thing to do. It's not like tuning into someone's stream on Twitch or spectating them for a couple minutes, because in those examples, it's fairly easy to tell how good someone is. But when you're just normally playing the game and randomly running into enemies, what should you be looking for? Now obviously, there are some common indicators that most people know to be aware of. If you see someone building incredibly quickly, making crazy edit plays, or even if you hear a guy shooting nearby and you see him getting a bunch of kills in the kill feed, odds are you're dealing with a pretty good player. But in my opinion, the #1 sign of a really good player in Fortnite is aggressiveness. My friends and I basically have this funny little saying that really good players in Fortnite are basically like sharks when they smell blood. They're really good at the game, they know they're really good at the game, so they're going to enter every fight with the assumption that they're the better player. And when a player has that kind of cocky mindset, they're going to push every single fight, and they probably won't even think twice about it most of the time. That aggressive mindset does have some advantages, but it's also something that you need to be looking to exploit. One of the biggest mistakes that you can make against players like this is to challenge them for high ground. Now, that's not always a bad thing to do, especially if you get the jump on them and start building before they do, but a lot of average players have this interesting habit of freezing for just a split second when they first see an enemy. I think it's because they aren't really sure if they want to be aggressive or kind of wait for the enemy to make the first move instead. But if you let a really good aggressive player make the first move and then try to challenge them for high ground, that's just a death waiting to happen. They'll build over you, and then as soon as you go and try to retake high ground, they'll probably edit down and pump you before you even know what happened. Trying to out-aggressive a really good player is the worst way to approach the situation because you're basically engaging in a fight that they feel very comfortable with. What you need to do instead is use their aggressiveness against them and kind of bait them into making a mistake. If there's one thing that aggressive players hate, and I can personally attest to this, it's long and really drawn-out fights. They really hate it when they run into players who are willing to play a slow, low-ground, turtle-type engagement. If you can become really comfortable from playing inside of a 1-by-1 box, you're going to give really good players a ton of trouble. That's because the longer you can stay alive against them, the more frustrated they're going to get, and when an aggressive player gets frustrated, that's when they're prone to making some really stupid mistakes. Let me tell you from personal experience one of the more common ways I die while playing public matches in Fortnite. I'll run into a player that I feel I'm better than, but then he keeps turtling inside a 1x1. At first, I'll play kinda smart and cautious by attempting to break and replace his walls or sneak in a quick shotgun shot, but then after about 10 to 20 seconds of that not working, I start getting really impatient. Since I feel like this should be an easy kill, I'll just spray out a wall while sprinting forward to try to get inside of the box. And even though that'll eventually work, now I'm in a super vulnerable position. Since I was spraying out a wall to get in, now that I'm inside, I have either my SMG or AR in my hand, and it probably only has a few bullets left before I need to reload it. This is the definition of a situation where the less skilled player is probably favored to win the fight. And if you're not that great at the game, it doesn't really take any skill at all to hold down turbo build to prevent the enemy from replacing your wall. Then, once he sprays to get inside, you place a trap on a wall next to him, or you hit a shotgun shot while he's holding an SMG with 6 bullets left in the clip. If you can make the really good and really aggressive players play your type of game instead of vice versa, you're going to give yourself the best chance possible to win in that fight. Moving on, although the removal of health/mats per kill was probably a very bad thing for Fortnite as a whole, it's actually good news when it comes to killing players that are better than you. When you were able to get 50 health/shield by killing someone, the best players in each lobby were either going to be at or near 200 health for the majority of the game. Not only that, but it also resulted in them being able to keep more shield in their inventory. This meant that chip damage was fairly useless, and if you wanted to kill them, it really had to be at close or point-blank range so you could prevent them from healing. And it's definitely a pretty daunting task to try to kill really good players head-on in fair fights. They're probably better builders, better editors, and they may even have better aim than you as well. The Fortnite community likes to call the majority of head-on fights 50-50 fights. But when there's a clear difference in the skill level of the players fighting, it can be more like a 20-80 fight for you in a lot of these situations. So how do you turn a 20-80 fight into something more in your favor? Well, the best way to do that is to do all the right things before you even fire a single shot at the enemy. Now that 50 health per kill is gone, it makes things like positioning and smartly engaging and disengaging from fights super important again. Let's say you have a 1.0 KD player, so pretty much average, fighting a 5 KD player head-on. Now, obviously KD is only one way to measure skill, and it definitely doesn't tell the whole story, but I think you guys get what I mean here. If both those players are at an equal amount of health, let's just say 150, the 5 KD player is obviously going to win that fight the majority of the time. But let's say the 1 KD player flanks around the 5 KD player before he engages, and lands 2 hits with his green AR before the 5 KD player can build to protect himself. Now the 1 KD player has about a 60 to 70 health advantage, making the fight a lot more winnable. Or maybe the 1 KD player rotates onto a tall mountain before engaging, so now he's guaranteed to have high ground for the entire fight. Or, best of all, the 1 KD player catches the 5 KD player fighting somebody else, and then he swoops in and safely third parties it from a distance. It's as simple as this: most of the best Fortnite players out there are going to have major mechanical advantages over average players. If you challenge them head-on in areas like building, editing, or aim, you're probably going to lose the vast majority of the time. But you don't need to be super good at the game to simply make smart decisions while playing. Maybe further down the road when your building, editing, and aim improve, you'll be able to consistently kill them head-on. But until then, playing smart and forcing them into uncomfortable situations is the easiest way to close the gap between you and a really good player, and it gives you the best overall shot of killing them. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. This video is about how to kill really good players in Fortnite, so I want to know, have you ever killed a pro level or famous Fortnite player before? It doesn't have to be Ninja or Tfue, just anybody you're particularly proud of eliminating. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.